Alright, welcome to vocabulary lesson number 5. This is your second of 3 videos for the second overall vocabulary additional assessment. There will be 20 words in this video as there are 20 words in the other 2, and therefore you're working with 60 vocabulary words for this sentence. So let's go ahead and get started. So the first word that you're going to be working for is profound, which is an adjective, and it means deep and insightful. That's a very positively connotated word. So after hours of meditation, Daniela experienced a profound sense of peace. So a meaningful sense of peace. Another way that you might use this word is profoundly. It was a profoundly important experience to Daniela. So profound is the adjective and profoundly would be the adverb. Alright, so for our next word, we have enhance, which is a verb, to improve or to augment. Alright, so here we have a nice allusion to Westworld, if you're a fan. The hosts, our AI, artificial intelligence, were augmented to display micro-emotions so that they would seem even more lifelike. I just realized I used the definition instead of the vocabulary word itself. So this would say the hosts were enhanced to display micro-emotions so that they would seem even more lifelike. Augmented is a vocabulary word you'll have later. But the hosts were enhanced to display micro-emotions. So the verb is enhance, so it can have different tensing. Enhance, enhancing. If you want to turn it into a noun, it would be enhancement. Alright, cool. On to the next word. So our next word is phenomenon, which is another noun, and it's an observable fact or occurrence. So here we have the water bear is a phenomenon of nature. It can go without food or water for more than a decade and can survive in the vacuum of space. They're pretty amazing creatures. Kind of creepy looking, but also kind of adorable, and just the things they can do are wild. So phenomenon is a noun, an observable fact or occurrence. So one thing to note is that if you change it into the adjective phenomenal, the meaning kind of changes. But ultimately with phenomenon and phenomenal, there are connotations of it being amazing. While we don't see that in the definition here, do know that when using phenomenon and phenomenal, you're using something that your readers will find connotations of this is amazing with. Alright, so for our next word, we have enduring, which is an adjective that means lasting, long-lasting. So much of the human race has held the enduring belief that there is extraterrestrial life somewhere in the cosmos. So enduring is the adjective. If you want to turn this into a noun, you have endurance. If you'd like to turn it into a verb, you have endure, endured, and so enduring can be an adjective or also one of the tenses of the verb endure. Alright, so our next word will be advocate, which is a verb. And advocate means to speak in favor of or to support. So you advocate for something. So if you go to your teacher, you might advocate for a higher grade if you believe you worked harder than what the grade shows. Alright, so let's take a look at a sentence. The student government advocated for a new vending machine, one that is equipped with both sugary and healthy options. Alright, so advocated is the verb. If you want to turn this into a noun, you'd have an advocate. Alright, so an advocate advocates for a new vending machine. Alright, so your next word is solitude, which is a noun. Now this noun means the state of being alone, in solitude. So if we take a look at the sentence, taking advantage of the moment of solitude, Emile sat in silence and watched the sunset. So some of us might think that solitude has negative connotations, but really that is up to the reader and the writer, whether it's going to be a good thing or a bad thing. So for instance here, Emile enjoys the solitude, giving it positive connotations. However, some other people might give it connotations of loneliness as opposed to connotations of peacefulness. Therefore, it depends on the context of the situation. So solitude is the noun. Alright, so next up we have tentative, which is an adjective that means temporary and not final. So you make tentative plans with your friends. So let's take a look at it in this sentence. Rupert's tentative plans to go to the park with his friends all fell through. Now he wished he had made them promise to show up. Aw, poor Rupert. So tentative is an adjective, and oftentimes they're describing types of plans or ideas. So next up we have contemporary, which is an adjective, and it's living at the same time or modern. So here we have Madonna, Michael Jackson, and Prince were contemporary artists, being born in 1958 and having successful careers in pop music. So contemporary is the adjective. If you want to turn this into a noun, saying that they are contemporaries, that's the word you'd use, contemporaries. It's always going to be plural because you can't have a single individual who, well, I guess you can, a contemporary artist. So never mind. So contemporary, nope, that would make it the adjective. Now I'm having an argument with myself. So contemporary is the adjective, and if you're using the noun, you're going to have contemporaries because they're comparable and therefore they need to be plural. All right. Next up, we have provocative, which is an adjective, and exciting and attracting attention, so a provocative idea. So the song's lyrics had a provocative message that led diverse audiences listening again and again to determine whether the artist's thoughts were inspiring or offensive. So one thing to know about the connotations of provocative, while the definition says that it's exciting and attracting attention, one thing to know about provocative is oftentimes it's attracting attention because it's controversial. So keep that in mind when you use the word provocative. It has connotations of being controversial and therefore exciting due to the controversy and all the talk about the controversy and the hot topic that it brings up. So that's provocative. If you want to turn it into a verb, you provocate something. All right. So next up, we have adversary, which is a noun. It's a person usually, an opponent or an enemy. So Harry Potter's adversary is Voldemort, and Luke Skywalker's adversary is Darth Vader. For much of the storyline, Luke Skywalker and Darth Vader are adversaries who fight multiple times before reaching their final conflict. So here you have the plural form of adversary, and it's adversaries. If you want to turn it into adjective, you would make it adverse. So something has adverse effects. Alright, so next up we have gravity or grave. I'm not sure why we have both of these here, but it's very helpful. So gravity is the noun and grave is the adjective, and it means seriousness. So gravity we might be more used to in like the space thing, but here it's being used in a very different way. So here we have while stuck in the gravitational pull. So this is the way that we most often think of the word gravity, gravitational pull of the planet. Ryan contemplated her grave, serious situation. There was not much that could be done to save her. Okay? So grave is the adjective form. You can also use gravity. The situation had gravity, which means that the situation had a serious nature. All right, so next up we have, wait for it. Okay, so a lot of people say this as banal, but it's actually banal. So here we have banal, which is an adjective, and it's common, dull, or ordinary. So Ted shared that his favorite food was bread. Janet found this disappointing, as she couldn't think of a more banal selection. Bread's good, though. Yeah, but it's kind of boring, but it's good. I mean, it's pretty good. All right, so banal means boring. If you'd like to turn it into a noun, you just add an ity and turn it into banality. All right, our next word is depravity, which is a noun. It's the opposite kind of a virtue, for instance. So you have depravity, which means moral corruption. So depravity, noun, is a perfect word to describe Voldemort and his actions. He kills at a whim, whether for his own benefit or just for a simple pleasure. Got cut off, but I think that says pleasure. So depravity is the noun. Now, the verb is deprave, all right? So Voldemort depraved his followers by turning them to evil actions. So deprave is the verb. But then the tricky part is the adjective is depraved. So you can have depraved as the verb, but you can also have depraved as the adjective. So you might say the depraved actions. So it's a descriptor. So you have three different forms. You have the verb, the adjective, and you also have the noun. So in this case, it's the noun, but you can use it in other forms. All right, so our next word is temper. So this isn't the kind of like they had a hot temper. She had a quick temper. This is a different form of temper. So temper, the verb to temper, means to moderate or to soften. So you can temper a situation by moderating it to make people less controversial, to stop a fracas. So temper can mean to moderate. Also, it can mean to soften, and so you might have heard this with baking. The baking instructions require tempered chocolate, softened chocolate. So Spencer melted the chocolate chips in a bowl over boiling water. So now you know what tempered chocolate is. It's melted, softened chocolate, but also do know it can have to do with situations, tempering a situation through moderation. All right, so next up, we have censure, which is a verb. And please note that this is not the same as a previous vocabulary you had, which is censure. All right, so here censure means to blame or to criticize. So here we have the U.S. Senate has developed procedures for taking disciplinary actions against senators through such measures as formal censure or actual expulsion from the Senate. So here we have to blame, to criticize. It's a formal criticism. All right, cool. So don't mix these two up. All right, cool. So next up we have to praise, and the word is extol. Yes, great word. So it's a verb that means to praise. So Shia applauded the movie preview, knowing that it was destined to become beloved by viewers, successful in the box office, and extolled at award ceremonies. So since it's a verb, you can have extol, extolled, extolling. And yeah, it's just a really excellent way to say praise in a little bit of a fancier manner. All right. So next up, come back, is indulgent, which is an adjective. So pampering oneself, satisfying one's own desires. So the adjective indulgence, Donna and Tom have a yearly tradition where they indulge their every want, buying expensive clothing and food all day. Treat yourself. So indulge is the verb form of indulgent. So if you indulge all the time, then you are an indulgent person. Okay. So next up, we have erratic, which is an adjective, and it means irregular and without direction. So all over the place. My mouse is moving erratically. All right, so here we have moving erratically. The car swerved, skidded, and even spun down the highway. So moving erratically without any clear form of direction, that's what erratic is. All right, so erratically is the adverb, erratic is the adjective. So next up, we have insipid, which is similar to banal, so it would be worth to go back and look at banal versus insipid because they are slightly different. But insipid means bland, boring, and tasteless. So this idea of tasteless is really what makes it different from banal. So tasteless is the idea that it's tacky, in addition to being bland and boring. Okay. So, all right, the insipid rattling of Ron about this and that made Hermione wish she was back in the library studying for the owls. So the fact that it's insipid means that it's not just boring, it's kind of annoying because it's meaningless and kind of like frivolous and silly, and therefore it's insipid. So there's a slight difference there than banal, which simply would be boring. All right, so we have insipid, and oftentimes insipid is in this could be considered as mean. Insipid is linked with the idea as idiots. Idiots are insipid because they talk about things that are idiotic. And they all start with I, so it's an alliteration. That's something. All right. So, euphony. All right, that is a noun. So it's the opposite of cacophony, which is an unpleasant sound, but euphony is a pleasant sound. And so the splendor of the euphonic instruments inspired the dancer to spin gracefully across the stage. So euphony is the noun, euphonic is the adjective, the euphonic instruments. All right, so those are all your words for this lesson. Make sure to go and use the practice slides to help you better prepare, and thank you for watching this video.